Hey, Michaela, it's Miss Tracy. So let's look at lesson 107, 108, I believe it is. So first, we're going to find the equation of the line that passes through this point, and it's parallel to this one. So first, we have to find the slope because our format is going to be y is equal to mx plus b. So we have to find the slope of m first, and we'll do that by setting this back up so where it's in this format. So I am going to subtract 3x from both sides, and I get 2y is equal to negative 3x plus 5. And then I'm going to divide everything by 2. So y is equal to negative 3 over 2, x plus 5 over 2. So that tells me the slope of this line, in order for it to be parallel, they have to have the same slope. So the slope is negative 3 over 2. So I can substitute that in and say negative 3 over 2 x plus b. Now, in order to find the equation of the line, for this point, for the line that goes through this point, I'm going to substitute this point into this equation. So y is negative 3, and then x is negative 2. So then I'm going to do that distribution or that multiplication here. Negative 3 times negative 2 is a positive 6 over 2 plus b. Negative 3 is equal to 3 plus b. So if I subtract 3 from both sides, because this is positive, you want to do the opposite, negative 6 is the value of b. So now I can go back up in here and rewrite this with my b value. Y is equal to negative 3 over 2x minus 6. That would be your solution. So what makes it parallel is that it has the same slope, but then you have to substitute this point in to find the b value, okay? And in this case, it's negative 6. Let's look at the next problem you had. It's this one right here. So what we want to do is we want to get the radical by itself. So we are going to add 9 to both sides. That leaves square root of x squared plus 11 is equal to 9. So now to get rid of this, I'm going to square both sides. So then this cancels the square root symbol. So then I have x squared plus 11 is equal to 9 times 9 is 81. So now I'm going to subtract 11 from both sides. X squared is equal to 70. If I unsquare both sides now, x is going to be equal to plus or minus the square root of 70. And now all we need to do is see if we can reduce this right here. So I know that 70 is going to be equal to 7 times 10, and 10 is 2 times 5. So there is no pair of factors that I can reduce or that I can pull out. So that means that this is the answer, plus or minus square root of 70. All right, let's look at the next problem. Same thing here. I want to do the same thing. So what I'm going to do is subtract x and add 11 to both sides. That gives me the square root of x plus 1 is equal to negative x plus 11. So I'm going to square both sides. And instead of writing it like this, I'm going to go ahead and just write it again, because that's the same thing as squaring it. That's this twice. So this would cancel the radical symbol. So I have x plus 1 is equal to negative x times negative x. That's going to be a positive x squared. And then that's going to give me a negative 11x. And then this times this gives me another negative 11x. And 11 times 11 is 121. So now I can combine x plus 1 is x squared minus 22x plus 121. I'm going to subtract 1 and subtract x from both sides. This is a 1x, right? So minus 1x minus 1. That gives me 0 is equal to x squared minus 23x plus 120. So what I need to do now, I'm going to flip it just because that's the way I like to write it. I'm going to move it over here so I have more room. X squared minus 23x plus 120 is equal to 0. Now I'm going to factor this. So what I need to do is look at the factors of 120 that would give me positive 120, that would give me a negative 23. So let's see if we can do that. Let's see. The factors of 120 that when added together give me a negative 23. That's what I'm looking for. So let's see, there's 2 times 60. That's not going to do it. There's 3 times 40. That's not going to do it. There's 4 times 30. That's not going to do it because then my answer would be 26. I'm trying to think of all of those factors. So there's 6 times 20. That's not going to do it. There's 10 times 12. That's not going to do it. That's close though. I'm kind of stumped. Let me think about it for a minute and look at it. All right, so I'm kind of stuck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prime factor 120 and see if that can't help me. So the prime factors of 120, we know it's 2 times 60, which is 2 times 30, which is 2 times 15, which is 3 times 5. All right. So if I look at this, I can make this be 8, and I can make this be 15. 8 plus 15 is 23. So those are my factors. Sometimes if you can't quite figure out the factors in your head, prime factor it and then look at it and see what you can combine together to make factors that give you the answer you want. So 8 and 15 added together are 23, but they need to be negative because this is a negative 23. They both need to be negative because this is a positive 120. So I'm going to factor this as 8x minus 8 times x minus 15 equals 0. So that's going to give me what I'm looking for. Now I can set this equal to 0 and set this equal to 0. And then I can find that x is equal to 8 or x is equal to 15. Now the thing that we have to do is check it and make sure that they work. So you're just going to take the original problem and substitute it back in. When you have 2 solutions, that's what you want to do. You want to make sure that you have 2 solutions that you solve in that manner. So I have square root of x plus 1. We're going to use the 8 the first time. Plus 8 minus 11 equals 0. So this would be square root of 9, and 8 minus 11 is a negative 3. So square root of 9, that's 3. 3 minus 3 is 0. So this one works. Now let's do, I don't need this over here anymore, so I'm going to erase this. Actually, I can erase all of that. So let's try the 15. All right, so 15 plus 1 plus 15 minus 11 equals 0. All right, so that's going to be square root of 16, and this is going to be plus 4 equals 0. Square root of 16 is 4. 4 plus 4 is 8. That is not equal. So this one cannot be. So X is going to be equal to 8 because 15 does not work. All right, that's how you want to check that and make sure we got 2 solutions, but only one of them actually worked. So that is the one that we use for our answer, and our answer is 8. Okay, so try that out. Whenever you're struggling with finding factors, try prime factoring them, and then you combine them in such a way that you get the middle term that you were looking for. In this case, negative 23 from negative 8 and negative 15. All right, so next problem, let's look at it. It says the doyen walked to the meeting at 2 miles per hour. Okay, and so she went there. So her rate and her time. So she walked there first, and she walked there at 2 miles an hour. Okay, she caught a ride home in an old truck. So she rode home at 10 miles per hour. That was her rate. How far was it to the meeting place if her total traveling time was 18 hours? So her time walking plus her time riding is 18. So we don't know what her time riding is, but her time walking is equal to 18 minus her time riding. So 18 minus the time riding. So that's what we're going to use to find our equation. And we know that she walked to the meeting and then rode home. So she went there and then she came back. So here's the meeting. Here's where she walked. Here's where she rode. But it was there and then back. So it means it's the same distance. So that means the distance walking is equal to the distance riding, or the distance she rode. Now we can break that down into the rate walking times the time walking is equal to the rate riding times the time riding. So now we can just substitute in our values. So we have the rate walking is 2. Time walking is 18 minus TR. Rate riding is 10, and we don't know what the time riding is, so we just leave that alone. So now I'm going to multiply. 2 times 18 is going to be 36 minus 2 TRs. I can add 2 TRs to both sides. That gives me 36 is equal to 12 times TR. Dividing both sides by 12, I find that 3 is the value of TR. So this is equal to 3. So if that is equal to 3, I can say 18 minus 3 is equal to 15. So this is equal to 15 here. So 15 and 3 is going to be the time for both of these. It says how far was it to the meeting place. All we need to do is multiply one of these to find the distance. So I'm going to say the rate walking, or the rate riding, sorry, the rate riding is 10, the time riding is 3, so that means it must be 30 miles. That would be your answer right there, because it's in the unit of measure of miles. So 10 times 3 is 30. Just like 2 times 15 is 30. All right, let's look at the next problem. So the gun sounded, and 3 hours later, Bill was 6 miles ahead of Rose. How fast did Rose run if Bill's speed was 10 miles per hour? So let's write down some information first. We have rate and time, we have Bill, and we have Rose. So the gun sounded, and 3 hours later, Bill was 6 miles ahead of Rose. So we don't know what the time is, but we know that his time is 3 hours less than rows because he waited 3 hours. So we can say the time of rows minus 3, and this is just the time of rows. How fast did Rose run if Bill's speed was 10 miles per hour? So his rate is 10. Let's see, he was 6 miles ahead of her. So here's our picture. We have Bill, we have Rose, and we don't have actual times, but we have distance here of 6 miles ahead. So he's further, he's going here, and she is going here, and he is 6 miles ahead of her. So we can write an equation that says the distance of Bill is equal to the distance of Rose plus 6. So we have something to work with. This would just be the rate of Rose. So now we can start breaking this down. The rate of Bill times the time of Bill is equal to the rate of Rose times the time of Rose plus 6. That's our equation. Let's see if we can solve based on what we have. So the rate of Bill is 10, and the time of Bill is the time of Rose minus 3. We don't know the rate of Rose, we don't know the time of Rose, but we know it's 6 more miles than whatever he had. So let's multiply. 10 times, that's 10 TR minus 30 equals RRTR plus 6. I'm going to add 30 to both sides. And that gives me 10 times TR is equal to RRTR plus 36. All right, so this is where it gets a little bit confusing. I am going to divide both sides by 10, I think, to find the value of TR. So TR is equal to the rate and the time plus 36 divided by 36, 10. So that's what we have. That's all I can discover based on the information that we have been given. That looks like all I can do. If I substitute that back in, I don't think I'm going to be able to solve anything. Let me see what I have in the problem. Okay, so the reason that I'm having trouble with that is I misread the entire problem. The gun sounded, and 3 hours later, Bill was 6 miles ahead of Rose. That's because their times were the same. That should have been the time of both of them. I don't know why I read it and thought something differently. This is the right diagram, but both of them, their time was 3. Maybe that's what happened with you when you read this problem and it didn't click. It didn't click for me either. I had to go back and reread it and think about it for a second. This is the time. The time is the same for both of them. So now I can rewrite this. The distance of Bill is equal to the distance of Rose plus 6. Rate of Bill, time of Bill, rate of Rose, time of Rose plus 6. Now this is going to be much easier to solve. Okay, we know that the rate and time of Bill, that's going to be 30. We know that the rate of Rose is unknown, but the time of Rose is 3. So that's 3 times the rate of Rose plus 6. If I take 6 away from both sides, 24 is 3 times the rate of Rose. Divide both sides by 3. 8 is the rate of Rose. So 8 miles per hour is her rate. So this is what you want to type in, 8 miles per hour. Okay. I just read that funny. I don't know why. So I apologize for going through all of that without a clear understanding of the problem before I started. All right, this one, you got it right. You just forgot to put the unit of measure on it. So go back in there and put the unit of measure on that at the end, and you would have it right, sweetie. That's the only thing you did was forget that when it asks for length, when anything asks for length, you have to include the unit of measure, because that's what tells us how long it is. 2 times the square root of 14, what? Inches, miles, feet, centimeters? We don't know. If it's length, we don't know unless we have a unit of measure on it. So that's it. You did all the math right. You just didn't put the unit of measure. So good job. All right, is this the last one? This is the last one. Find the surface area of a regular square pyramid. So we have a square on the bottom with a side length of 18 feet. And here's our pyramid. And a height, here's the height from the top to the center is 12. Height is from the center to the top of the pyramid. So let me draw a side picture of that. Here's our pyramid, and it has 18 on the bottom. And here's our square. So this is 12, right? And it has another side over here. So 12 is going to be the hypotenuse to the side. So you've got 12 to the center, which cuts this base in half. So that means this is 9. So the height of your triangle here, the height of the face of the triangle is going to be the hypotenuse of 12 and 9. So 12 squared plus 9 squared is equal to c squared, which is going to be the height of this triangle, 18, and the height of the triangle is there. Okay, so we would have 4 of those, 4 triangles. The surface area of the triangle base, the area of the base, is going to be equal to 18 feet times 18 feet, whatever that is. So 18 times 18, so that's going to be 324 feet squared for the base of the triangle. But now we have to find the height of the triangular face, this right here, by finding the hypotenuse of the height and half of the, because it goes to the center, half of the base of, or the length of one side. Okay, so that's where we are now. So it's 144 plus 81 equals c squared. That is 5 and 12, carry 1. 225 is equal to c squared. And I think I remember 225, that's 15. Okay, so 15 is the length of C. So that means this is 15 and this is 18. Now there are, if we draw our net, we've got 4. If I can draw a triangle, I'm not really doing that very well, am I? We've got 4 triangles like that, right? So this is 15 and this is 18. This is 18 and this is 15. This is 15. This is 18. This is 18 also, because it is a square. And the height of all of these pyramids is 15. Or all of these triangles is 15. So we have 4 times the base of 18 feet times the height of 15 feet divided by 2, because that's how we find the area of a triangle. So when we do that, we're going to get 18 times 15 divided by 2 times 4. So that's going to equal 540 feet squared. So now we just have to add, this is the triangles, 4 triangles. We have to add this to this, so plus 324. So we have a total surface area of 864 feet squared. Okay, so when you don't have the face of the pyramid, you take the height and you take half of the side length. Think of it like the diameter of a circle, turning it into a radius. You're cutting it in half because you've got that center. It's centered over the base of the square, so it comes to the middle. So you're almost making a radius with that center point over the center of the square, because it's halfway from this side and halfway from this side. So that's how we get our height of 12 and our base of 9 in order to find this slope right here, which is going to be the height of the face of this triangle as I've illustrated here. I know my drawing's not that great, but I hope you get the idea of what I'm trying to say, of how I'm trying to draw it for you. So I think maybe if I had a better illustration, let me find a better illustration for you. All right, I found a much better illustration for you. So here's what we have. We had the height that was 12, and we had a base that was 18. So to find the slant height, we had to find out what the distance, because this is in the center. So if it's a square, this is 18 and this is 18. So halfway, this is halfway because it's in the center. Half of 18 would make that 9 and 9, right? So height of 12, and then this is going to be a distance of 9. That creates a right angle, which creates a right triangle when we look at the slant height of the face of the triangle. So we can use Pythagoras' theorem with 9 and 12 to find this, and this would be C. And when we found C, that was equal to 15. So then that gave us 1, 2, 3, 4 triangles with a base of 18 and a height of 15 on top of a square that was 18 by 18, which is this sketch right here. When you unfold the pyramid and you take each one of those and lay it flat, you can see those dimensions a little bit better. Okay, I hope that helps you to see that a little bit better. My drawing is not always the best, but I found a great one that illustrates it well, and I hope you can figure out what you need to do from now on from that. And that's all I have for this video. If you have any more questions, I hope I didn't confuse you on some stuff. I know I had to redo that one problem because I wasn't thinking about it right. Sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you have to take a break and look at it again to wrap your head around it. And that's okay. It's perfectly fine to take a step back, come at it with fresh eyes, and then maybe you see it better. And I highly recommend that whenever you're frustrated and you just stop, take a step away, and then come back to it later when you have a clearer head and you're less emotional about the problem. All right, that's all I have for you today, sweetheart. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you on Thursday. Bye for now.